Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week. I'm Mike Graham and this, of course, is the home of common sense. It's the one place where you don't have to worry about being judgmental because we'll do all the judging for you. And we have got a fantastic panel. Jeremy Kyle is here, Chloe Dobbs is here, Will Geddes is here, and Amanda Devlin has returned from the Sun Showbiz Department. Very nice to see you. Welcome to all of you. We've got a lot to get through today, an awful lot of Labour-related plankery has to be said. Jeremy, kick us off.
This week, Reform UK member Tim Montgomery, who's always on all of our shows, was on a BBC Radio 4 programme. Lucy Powell is the head of the House of Commons.
She is. She's a very senior member of the party.
Very senior member of the party. Let's not say they aim too high. There's Louise Hay to come. But this lady, when the subject of these grooming gangs came up and Tim Montgomery started talking about it, said, oh, you're going to use that old dog whistle. We're going to get that dog whistle tactic out, are we? In quite simply one of the most disgusting descriptions of what had happened to people.
Exactly right. Well,
absolutely vile.
You're not surprised that we've got the clip. Let's have a listen to how she actually said it, because that's important too.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
this. We want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah,
OK. There was a real issue...
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we?
It is utterly appalling.
And so condescending as well.
Condescending, completely out of touch. And on a serious note, right, that's the leader of the House of Commons, disrespecting. And people go on about, oh, we couldn't arrest them in Rotherham for fear of, you know, what it might do culturally and all that. These girls, with the greatest of respect, were raped by British Pakistani men. I don't care about the colour of the perpetrators. Those kids are blighted forever. And that ridiculous, disgusting human being, she should have resigned. Oh, Wes Streeting, who suddenly is the de facto Prime Minister, said, well, I think she's done very badly. But nothing,
he
absolutely
said everybody
nothing.
makes mistakes, is what he said. And
the Labour Party, if that had been a Tory or anybody else, they would have called that racist. They would have said anything in their minds. Lucy Powell, utterly disgraceful. Kicks off Plank of the Week.
Chloe, I mean, here's the thing. Her apology wasn't even an apology, was it? She was one of those, you know, I'm sorry if I upset anybody.
She said
but I said it in the heat of the moment.
What she said was unclear. I'm sorry, but what was unclear about that? You could have maybe said in calmer terms, I do not care about the rape gangs, but it was very clear, regardless of how you said it, that she does not give a damn whatsoever. And also, it's not just her that needs to be apologising about this. I think Keir Starmer's silence on this documentary that Tim Montgomery has brought up also needs to be apologised for. Where was the whole, let's play it in every school like adolescence?
Let's cut to the chase, and we did this last time we talked about it. The fact of the matter is that if we're being honest, and we always are on this station, the reason the Labour Party will not have either a local inquiry or an independent national inquiry is because they rely on the Muslim vote in so many of their constituencies. And they know, ask Jonathan Ashworth in Leicester East, they will be obliterated
They are
by
terrified.
many.
And also, one of the things that Keir Starmer was urged to do was to sack Lucy Powell. But, of course, he couldn't sack her because in January he had said something very similar, where he was calling anyone who started mentioning the possibility of a rape gang inquiry jumping on a far-right bandwagon. So he was almost as bad, effectively. And just it's what the Labour government actually believes. It's really what they think.
And just as a little postscript, the one that he did sack, the fraudulent nicker of a mobile phone, is Louise Hay. I mean, she stuck ahead above... she stuck ahead above the parapet this week and gone, I think we need to raise taxes and be more left-wing. Goodbye, love. That's the quality. Lucy Powell, utterly disgusting.
Right. I'll come to you guys in a second. I'm just going to play you another clip of... This is Lucy Powell. This is what sort of a woman she is. Check this out.
Are you talking over me again?
I'm asking you.
Are you talking over me again?
You asked me.
Are you?
Richard.
OK, can I speak?
Richard and Lucy, just...
Can I speak?
Nonsense and can't even speak.
Right, hang on. I will come back to you. Stop speaking over me.
I'm assuming she's single, isn't she?
Oh, God, you just took the words out of my mouth.
I suspect there is a Mr. Powell. I don't know.
No.
I'm not having sex on this show.
Is he allowed to be called Mr.?
He's just not allowed to talk.
No.
He's not allowed to speak. He just sits there. Meanwhile, things didn't go well for Keir Starmer this week either, though, because he's being accused of, as I said earlier, giving away the country to India. They seem to have signed a trade deal with India in which basically they've given the right to Indian companies to hire Indian workers to come to this country who won't need to pay national insurance, and neither will the companies need to pay national insurance for 3 years.
So you're saying to every single company that's really struggling in this country to even survive, you've got to have more national insurance, but if you come from another country, a bit like immigration, you'll get a free pass.
Exactly
what
right.
a joke, man.
I know. And do you know there are 1,000 companies owned by Indian firms in this country? And what do you think is going to happen now? There's going to be 2,000 Indian firms because they're going to start up a business and they're going to start hiring loads of people and they're going to come into the country, and then after the 3 years is up, they're going to say, oh, actually, we'd quite like to live here full time.
And it's cheap Labour, and they will vote for the Labour Party.
Well, and they get the vote because they're members of the Commonwealth, and because they've been given the right to come and live here, they will be able to vote Labour. Extraordinary.
And I'd be interested to find out whether, if obviously the Indian-owned companies, which are here in the United Kingdom, much of which are part of our infrastructure, companies like Tata Steel, for example, are they going to replace the existing indigenous workers with these new Indian personnel that are going to come in and
why wouldn't you? Because if you're Tata Steel, or if you're Jaguar Land Rover, frankly, which is also owned by the Tatars, you're going to go ship them in.
I just think that's that thing that we talk about the whole time, which is on a very serious note. You know, right now, for a lot of people in this country, it's really hard. And it's just another kick. It's another, like, you be 8th in the queue, mate, because thank you for living your life correctly and paying your taxes.
Sorry,
but you know what? Another person, another group of people are going to be treated better than you, and they don't deserve it.
We could literally do a whole special Plank of the Week on the entire government. Maybe we'll do that.
Just give it to them, the government.
To Chuck. Also, Diane Abbott, even she's upset with the Prime Minister. Check this out.
We've done a series of actions which are the most painful for some of the most marginalised and poor communities.
I mean,
what did that actually mean?
Well, no, listen, to be fair to her, she hasn't changed her view of the world, right? She doesn't just float around like one of these, sort of Blairites or
she can't.
Starmerites.
She's usually got the same shoe on.
Yeah. Well, she's got a few problems. But listen, what she said is right. The government has come in and basically what they've done is completely against what the Labour governments should be doing, which is punishing people on disability benefits, punishing pensioners, punishing hard-working members of the working class, and having a go at anybody who thinks that, British people should be put first.
Somebody said the other day that this government's on shaky ground. I think it's on shaky ground, absolutely, with the British public. But scarily enough, I bet there are hundreds of thousands of Labour members and people in the party who don't think they're left-wing enough, led by people like her, genuinely.
No question.
You've got people like Louise Hay who have said, yes, people are clearly frustrated about the winter fuel payment being taken away, but they think the solution is raise taxes, nationalise more,
this is why they should never be in government. We've got to stop that because we're massively running over. Chloe, over to you. You're going to talk about a Sky News presenter.
Yes, so the Sky News journalist Serena Barker-Singh interviewed Andrea Jenkyns.
So-called journalist.
After her win, the ex-Greggs worker, Andrea Jenkyns, of course, won the mayoralty in Greater Lincolnshire. And,
that's how the BBC described it, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the BBC.
Greggs worker.
But the Sky News also decided to have their go of making her look like a plonker, which they failed at, where she said in her speech, which wound up a lot of people for various reasons, including saying that migrants should be housed in tents rather than hotels. But one thing she also said was that her opponent said that she was parachuted in. Even though Andrea Jenkyns, she served on Lincolnshire County Council for 4 years, she went to university there, she said she was parachuted in. And Andrea Jenkyns said, she ironically said that in her South African accent.
Right.
What did Sky News do? They tried to push her with questions to try and get her to say something that they can clip up and make her look
They've obviously never heard
racist.
of the fact that some people from South Africa are actually white and they still sound South African. But let's have a look at the clip.
She said you were parachuted in and you made a comment about her South African accent. What did you mean by that?
What I meant is, how can they say I've been parachuted in when I spent most of my life in Lincolnshire school?
Why mention the accent, sorry?
Because the irony of saying someone's been parachuted in who's not even from the country. I mean, I went to school, college, university, so I think...
So someone who's got an accent can't be from this county?
I think, actually, I'm not even going to answer any more of your questions. I think that your questioning is quite divisive. You're looking into things when it was a little play with words, it was a little joke because of the irony. Do you not understand irony?
The only reason I'm asking is because Reform get a reputation for these divisive politics.
Questions. Thank you very much.
That tells you everything that's wrong with Sky and what's wrong with the media.
But I hate to sound like Trump, but it is the mainstream media who cannot handle the fact that a massive number of people voted for Reform, that she won by 40,000 votes. It doesn't matter, does it? The fact is Reform can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea was right to walk off.
She was brilliant there, I thought.
But, I mean, that kind of, it's very combative. It's very, I mean, I think the fact that she's goading the interviewers, just trying to push her buttons and to get a reaction. And the thing that worries me slightly is that, yes, she was right to walk off, but then at the same time, she's given them the clicks, and that's what Sky News are kind of wanting to get from that.
Yeah, but I think, she came out of it. That's
what they wanted, and to make her look bad. But actually, we've all kind of seen through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just we're losing our sense of humour, our down to earth, our common sense, because we're just trying to get the gotcha moments all the time.
But they're only ever trying to get the gotcha moment out of people from Reform. I mean, I don't know if you watched Laura Kunzberg on Sunday, but when she was interviewing Zia Youssef, who's the chairman of the party, she was asking questions about the councils that he was going to be running that have never been asked about any council. No. You know, you would think that, the councils have been so well run. You know, what do Reform know? How are they going to run them? But they've been running to the ground, most of them.
But I do believe, I go back to Trump, that if Reform are a serious and credible alternative, they are going to have to take on the media establishment.
They will.
And they are going to have to, and where I sort of slightly disagree, by walking off, you do give them credence. Trump just stands there and takes it and says, the people have voted me in. You cannot deny that Reform are on an upward curve.
They are.
The media are going to have to damn well
Well, maybe
deal
you're
with
right. Maybe they should adopt more of what he does, like whenever he gets asked a question by CNN. Whenever he gets asked a question by CNN, he goes, you see, that's why nobody's watching you. You know? Which is really funny. Really funny.
It's so good.
Have a look at this, though. Here's another member of the Cognoscenti, Andrew Marr. He used to work for the BBC, don't you know?
Oh, yeah.
But when he left the BBC, he said it was great because now he can have a proper opinion. Here's what he has to say about Reform.
In some modes, Nigel Farage talks about it and says he is a classical liberal. And, of course, at other times, some of them can sound pretty borderline racist and talk endlessly about immigration and the danger of people from other cultures coming in.
Yeah, like it's not a danger, and like people aren't worried about immigration.
Clear and present.
He's never heard of it. You know, he doesn't see it much in Notting Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, this just shows clear as day that there is such a divide, worse than ever, between the Westminster bubble and the rest of the country.
Exactly right.
You've got, the number of people that voted Reform. I'm sorry, but you are on another planet if you think that those people are all racist because they care about immigration. It's just common sense to say if we have X number of people coming in the country each year, we cannot cope. That doesn't make you a racist, but people like Andrew Marr and people in the media establishment, they just don't get it, and they genuinely think that we are all racist.
They never will
question immigration.
I'd take it beyond that. I'd say it's not just a separation; it's a disconnect, a complete disconnect with the electorate. It's a complete disconnect with the British nationals.
People like Marr, it's not about disconnect; it's disrespect. Politicians and journalists like that, I don't think will give a toss about the British people. And the one thing that I think's happened is that the British people, despite what they might think about politicians, have woken up to the fact, and maybe it's Trump, I've said him 3 times now, where actually they realise that what they feel and what they believe and what they think bloody well matters. That's why I think it's such an interesting moment in our history.
Absolutely right. You got very upset with me once, Andrew Marr. We were in a debating situation once when he was on one side for the European Union and I was on the other for Brexit. And it was him and Gina Miller and Alex Salmond, actually.
Bless him.
And Alex, who was great. But I said to him and Gina Miller, I said, look at you two, talking on behalf of British people. You've never been in Britain. You don't know any British people. You went to private school. You're asking the question, are we worse off? I said, are you worse off? Of course you're not. You're all millionaires. What are you talking about? Got very upset.
I was at that show and I was booing him. And
you reviewed it, actually. That was great. Thank you for booing it. Right, Will Geddes, over to you.
Oh,
Spare.
This is easy. I mean, I think everybody was going to anticipate this one was going to come up, which is obviously the Prince of Bedwetters.
Yes.
Prince Harry himself.
Right, let's go. That's it. We're done. The Prince of Bedwetters.
Brilliant.
I mean, he literally has just surpassed himself with this fabulous interview he did after his failed appeal, which just started with delusion right from the very get-go, with the whole question of him saying, well, this appeal's failed, and ultimately, if someone had told me to save myself a few million, which I'm sure he had been told, he wouldn't have embarked on this fruitless trail of legality. Basically, which anybody can look at.
Mrs. Harry's not too happy about the millions he spent on the lawyers.
Funny that. Well, she'll have to.
He could have bought another house.
We're going to have to make more jam. Shut up, you odious bloody woman! Don't start me. Honestly, never.
But the one thing sort of picking between the debris of this car crash of an interview, which I think almost comes second to Prince Andrew.
I think it was worse.
It was in some ways.
And the BBC are ridiculous as well.
And they've admitted they got it massively wrong.
But also his publicist. Apparently, he was only supposed to have 10 minutes. But it trailed on for 20, 30 minutes.
About half an hour.
Yeah, literally, I was.
Shall we have a look at it?
Wanting to stab pencils in my eyes before the end.
I know. Let's have a look at it.
I would love reconciliation with my family. there's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. he won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
No, I don't blame him, though.
That's not the reason he won't speak.
Can I just say he can't speak to you because constitutionally he couldn't get involved with it. That's the reason he couldn't speak to you.
Absolutely. And also, it's not his father's choice. I mean, I know guys in RASP, you know, they make their choices independently. They look at it. They don't draw down to the requests and the requirements by the royal family.
Yeah.
They say, this is what we'll do. This is the risk. This is what we're going to manage. And I do know for a fact that Harry does have provisions and support when he comes into the UK. If he's actually seeing the royal family.
Yeah.
Now, this is the same guy, remember, about a year ago, who'd ordered a Deliveroo to his little house in Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I think we can pretty much guess and speculate that the vast majority of Deliveroo drivers probably came over on a dinghy of some description across the channel and may not necessarily be accounted.
That's why it takes so long for the food to arrive. You know, some of them are in France.
I don't want to be rude to the Deliveroo guys when they turn up at my place, but the fact is, you're allowing a total stranger to come to your house with a large package. Hopefully it's got your chicken vindaloo and not an IED.
I thought the most disgusting thing about the whole thing, apart from the BBC, was that this piece of crap, and I'm not even going to hold back, thinks it's OK to talk about the fact... We know his dad's ill. We don't know if his dad's really ill. He's had chemotherapy for 12 months. That's not great, right? To do that, he looks like a petulant, sulky kid who picked that horrendous woman over his family, not got a moment for him.
But I think also, Jess, to look between the cracks on the interview, as I was saying, the one thing that comes across to me is he's almost scripted by her. It feels like she has very much been pulling every time. Pulling the strings.
I saw a debate.
I
don't know if you saw this, Amanda, the other night on Piers Morgan's show. And it was an American woman, I don't know who she was, but she came up with a fantastic phrase. She said, Harry and Meghan are emotional terrorists.
Yeah.
And that's what they are. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Did you
that
see
really describes them.
She went on a podcast the other day.
Yeah, with the moon face woman.
She complained about how her life is so difficult because sometimes she has to take her kids to school herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't get back home until 9 a.m. to get on with making her jam. Some days, I don't know, maybe she can't afford the nanny some days because Harry spent so much on legal fees and it's such a difficult... she looked like she was going to cry. It's so hard driving her kids to school.
Did you see on that interview with Moonface that she did this whole tears thing, and a few people have really closed in on a tight shot, and literally she's rubbing away here. There's not a bit of dampness there whatsoever.
I think the phrase that you just said probably sums Meghan Markle up. Not a moment of dampness anywhere.
No, indeed.
Dry as a bone.
It's terrible that he didn't get challenged. He deserved to be, because everything that he said. I love reading the articles afterwards where they go through every point, and it's actually like, no, that's not really true. At the end of the day, it was a spoilt brat who he wants to be invited over by his family, but it's Trash's family. They won't invite him over, so you can't get all of this free security. And also, it's not about coming here and feeling unsafe. He wants to be travelling across the world, being the king and queen that he thinks that he should be. It should be him and Meghan travelling away, but not having the actual responsibilities of royalty. And he just showed himself up again and again and again. And I cannot stand him. It's painful to watch.
And if there was any security risks that are actually sort of imposed on him, probably it would have been a great idea that he didn't embellish about the number of Taliban that he killed when he was in Afghanistan.
Everything is his own doing.
Everything is his own doing. But you can see from the way he speaks that nothing in his mind is his fault.
No.
Including whatever it is that's
He is an archetypal narcissist.
He's a massive narcissist.
The victim type. It's like he just feels like everyone's against him. And when you're saying this in a day and age where we're all going, everyone is struggling. And you've got him and Meghan going on podcasts, going on TV shows and telling us how hard their life is.
I know.
Yeah.
Get lost. Bugger off,
Get
as
lost.
we used to say in old England. I mean, but that's the other thing. But he's now more unpopular in America than his brother, which is kind of ironic.
Just saying that very quickly, I think the king, because he's his father and because of duty, won't do anything. But and I don't have this on authority, but I know from the old man in the past, when William becomes king, that little ginger, can I say my usual word?
You can if you
will
like.
not get a look in. I believe William will absolutely
and
quite rightly.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And the fact that she keeps peppering the Duchess of Sussex every left that she's been told not to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Amanda, over to you.
So Kanye West or Ye or...
Is he Ye or Ye? I don't know.
No, Ye.
Is it Ye?
Ye.
OK.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be Y-A-Y? He spells it Y-E, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know,
Yay.
but it's it's Kanye. He can do what he wants. It's Kanye.
And as he does.
And he does, and he goes about and he just says everything that he wants, and then has all of these. He thinks the more people who are offended by him, the better. Yeah. He is going again, kind of unchallenged on X. With Elon Musk, he's allowed to sort of say all of these horrific things. But we had our Piers Morgan. He had Kanye West on his show,
right?
And only lasted about 2 minutes.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they took ages to set it up, apparently. Let's have a look.
He kept messing him around.
Yeah.
I watch what you put out on X. You've got 32 million followers, so you're one of the most followed people.
See, wait. Now look right now. You're not gonna take inches off my. How many followers do I have?
Well, how many is it?
We can circle back when you can count.
Okay.
That was basically the interview, because apparently he's got 33 million followers, and he was upset that Piers said he only had 32 million.
Again, it was all a stunt, really, because he left Piers hanging the previous day. He basically just turned up 45 minutes later and said, actually, no, I'm not going to do it.
Why are we interested in this bigoted, racist, anti-Semitic
But I think
idiot?
he does.
Why?
I think a lot of people were saying that in the comments, actually, underneath Piers' YouTube channel, and it was talking about why are you giving him a platform then, to talk about this.
But
I think actually no, it needs to be that he is challenged and people calling him out for this, because it's his behaviours.
But it digs him, doesn't it? It makes him. He wants to be taken on, but then runs.
I'm not sure what he wants.
He's
it's not clear, is it?
There's obviously a lot of health issues there, and it's really scary.
Well, does he not say this week that he's going to sue his dentist for giving him too many drugs, and that's why he started coming out with all this anti-Semitic stuff? And you're going, come off it, mate.
Well, he blames obviously the Kardashians for
everything.
everything.
I don't know a lot about relationships, but I'll tell you what his problem is. He's never able to get over the fact that she dumped him. That's
but also anyone you go out with that's not Kim Kardashian is like that's a downgrade. That's a downgrade.
American celebrities now have gone so far into their own kind of world of madness. I mean, have a look. He wasn't invited. In fact, I think he was banned from the Met Gala, which is, the big...
we turned them down, didn't we?
Well, Piers was brilliant. He said 2 reasons I didn't go to the Met Gala. 1, I wasn't invited. 2, my ego isn't big enough, right? But have a look at how some of them were dressed. I mean, this is a guy, wearing a cupboard or something.
Boring, this show.
I don't know what they're doing. Lewis Hamilton was there. Somebody coming as a piano. It's all the great and the good of Hollywood that go to this thing.
All they do is go in and they just they leave after
Nicole Kidman was there,
dressed as a piano.
Dressed as a piano. I mean...
some of the outfits are just
attention-seeking.
Well, it gets the most press. That's what they think. So they just put them in the most ridiculous outfits possibly imaginable, and then call it fashion.
I think the designers just taking the mickey out of them. Going, why don't you wear this? This will look great.
She was wearing the
Here's a bin bag.
Exactly. Anyway, listen, a great start to the show, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up, we'll get one nomination from me, and we're going to go into JK Rowling territory. And we've got another migrant story for you. It's all coming up next on Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We've got 4 underway already. They all could be winners, I mean, I don't know. We're going to go and visit JK Rowling for the second plank, for the fifth plank, actually, but not for her, for the members of the cast of Harry Potter, including one Emma Watson. Now, if it wasn't for JK Rowling, we would never have heard of Harry Potter.
Or
if
Emma
it wasn't
Watson.
for Harry Potter, we would never have heard of Emma Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of you can name another movie that she's been in, can you? Outside of... apparently she was in Little Women. It was the only one that I am aware of.
Really?
But basically, she's made hundreds of millions of dollars and pounds out of Harry Potter. And she's turned on JK Rowling more and more and more over the time and over the course of this ridiculous trans argument, right? Have a look at an interview she did with a trans woman.
Do you feel comfortable with me using, female toilets?
Oh my God! Oh, of course,
But
I would.
Does that depend on me having had surgery?
No.
What would you say? I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but what would you say to those people who would have an issue sharing a public bathroom with me?
Oh my goodness. I would say that's another human being. Have you ever felt yourself not welcome somewhere, not invited?
Have you felt like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you're emotional.
I can see your emotion. What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with them?
When you strip, she said, "Have you ever felt that yourself?" I thought, yeah, but when you strip that down, we said this on air the other week. I've got a teenage daughter. I am not going to apologise for the fact that my teenage daughter, I don't want her in a room where a man who is pretending to be a woman has a penis.
Right.
I'm sorry, I think that taking their clothes off. What is wrong with saying that?
Also, by the way, being Emma Watson, she has to make it all about herself. I felt terribly excluded. Being told as a man you can't go to a women's toilet. You're not being excluded.
It's not like being let out of a party.
No, it's not like, why I wasn't invited to the Met Gala.
Are we just mad, though? Because maybe it's this building, maybe it's my life. I haven't met anybody who doesn't go, that's just not...
Nuts.
It's not nuts. Brilliant. Do you know what I mean? I haven't met anybody that goes, we're not... There isn't a problem with be transgender, but it's not right.
Yeah, but the law says you're not a woman.
Yeah.
How often is Emma ever going into a public toilet where anything could potentially happen to her?
Yeah, without her close protection, who would have checked it first and be with her. Yeah.
And she's just in a mansion and going into A-lister places where they'll have private toilets for every single member of the club there. It's a load of rubbish.
Kind of completely and utterly abandoned JK Rowling and thrown her under a bus and says that she's a ghastly woman, horrible woman. I mean, she was quoted this week as saying, because she was talking about all of it on Instagram. So the person who said they like me best when I'm not ranting about politics, I like me best when I'm not ignoring fascism. So now it's fascist to say to men
JK Rowling, I saw an interview with her this week and I completely agree with her. I'll be trolled for this, right? She talks about women's rights. And I'll say it again and I've said it every day. All those people, and we know a few in this building, who spend their lives talking about women's rights, and I'm not against that. You don't hear a thing from them in this argument because the truth of the matter is that JK Rowling and those brave women in Scotland were sticking up for women's rights. That's what they were doing.
And Emma Watson is one of these people who's constantly talking about girl power and feminism, yet on this she's completely quiet. I would love to see her sit down and do another interview like that, having a heart-to-heart with someone who is actually a victim of being raped or sexually assaulted in a women's toilet by a man.
You had a tweet this week, didn't you? Tell us about what happened to you.
I did, yes. It's got 7 million views on X, and the lefties went insane at me, all saying I've broken the law because I've called out. I went to the toilets in Waterloo, and there was
in the station.
And there was a man, very clearly a man in a frock in the toilets there. And all I did was tweet. I didn't go up and cause an argument, but afterwards, when I saw him still walking around the station outside the loos, I just took a quick 2-second video.
I saw the picture.
And I said, I've just been in the toilets in Waterloo, and this man in a frock was there. And everyone's like, how dare you assume that that's a man? It might just be a woman with broad shoulders. I'm sorry, it was clearly a man. And this is someone who's clearly protesting the Supreme Court, that, they think that the Supreme Court's evil and they need to protest. I mean, we've seen all these men in frocks protesting at the trans rights protests after the Supreme Court, peeing everywhere around London in public. I mean, you couldn't confirm more clearly that they're men when they want to prove a point by urinating everywhere.
Absolutely
it's just beyond belief.
No leg cocking anywhere. They were just pointing and
it is absolutely extraordinary. Jeremy, over to you. You've got a Tariku Hadgu.
One of the greatest things about Mike Graham's Morning Glory, by the way, on Talk, is that there is a migrant of the day. This is another. We've had chicken nuggets. This is Tariku Hadgu, 21. He's an Ethiopian asylum seeker who attacked several people outside a Bournemouth bar. He had to be dragged off his victims by a member of the public. Hadju, who claims he's got absolutely no memory because he's got mental problems, lives in a shared house in the town with 3 other illegal migrants and gets all of his accommodation.
I wonder who's paying for that.
Well, we're paying for that.
Yeah, of course, sorry.
He went to court and the judge said, we can't deport him because his brain... This is just going to send me... Did you do this deliberately to be... The judge said his brain was not yet fully formed. That's what... Hold on. Tariku Hadju, 21, was told by a British judge that his brain wasn't fully formed so he could stay in this country. I've got to the point where I am going to morph into just a man that shouts all the time.
I know.
What the hell is wrong? He was ordered to pay some costs, but he hasn't got any money, so we're going to pay them. Don't worry about that. He's going to pay £1 a week out of the 67 quid 50 we give him. He can stay in this country despite attacking people, despite the fact he's illegal and he doesn't work and he's a scrounging git because his brain isn't fully formed.
And he's also
Chicken
dangerous.
nuggets, fully formed brains. What's wrong with our judicial system?
I mean, what is he only aging at the rate of a sort of a llama or something like that? How long does it take for his brain to form?
But I mean, this is my point, right? Fourth time, Trump.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump heard that in America, that judge would be out on his backside in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
How does that judge keep his job? I'd be making the judge the plank of the week.
Yeah.
Your brain is
Well,
informed.
we saw that great piece in the Sun this week about the judges who are now working as barristers, advocates for refugees, who then end up sitting on these judging panels, which needs to stop. And, you know, they have to stop allowing it to happen, because these are people who basically believe that all refugees should be allowed into Britain. They should all be helped by us. It doesn't matter if they haven't got a job.
What about the people in this country who make a mistake or what about somebody who commits...
Well, we talk about Lucy Connolly all the time. Lucy Connolly's still now in prison for 10 months so far. She's got another couple of years to go before, you know, for making a mistake, for writing something on Twitter that she shouldn't have.
Yeah. I mean, these activist judges will use ECHR rules for anything. They
How
will
are they
find a
allowed
loophole.
to be the judges,
We've
Chloe?
now
They should be thrown out.
I know, the thing that's really scary, though, is we've now got Hamas taking the Home Office to court on the basis, I've gone through it, I put Command F ECHR, and it comes up all the way through their argument as to why they should be taken off the terrorist list in this country. And I bet you there are plenty of those activist judges that are on the same refugees welcome camp that will love to welcome Hamas with open arms. I'm sure we'll host a banquet for them here in the UK.
Is it ideology or money?
Well, it's a bit of both. The law firm representing Hamas are based in South London, and they call themselves a human rights law firm. They're actually calling themselves a human rights law firm representing terrorists who murder people.
And what hope have we got?
Slit their throats and rape them.
What hope have we got, actually? That judge is one of many, as you quietly said. Our Prime Minister is a human rights left-wing lawyer.
Well,
we've got no chance, have we? No chance.
Yeah.
I think that's appalling, mate. I mean, it's farcical, but it's true.
Yeah.
Taraku Hadju, you can stay here. Sorry for attacking somebody. Your brain isn't.
But I think also there are so many other cases. Was it on the M6 a few weeks back where there was that pile-up between the car and all the various police cars?
Oh, yes.
And about 7 officers were...
he was an asylum seeker, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was an asylum seeker, and allegedly... He was not imprisoned. He was not fined. He didn't even have any documentation, and apparently he's still been seen driving around.
Yeah, he's an Iranian. He can't be sent back to Iran because he comes from Iran.
Yeah.
Send him back. What's the problem?
Absolutely.
You know, what if they do kill him? I don't care.
Nothing will beat the story.
Send him back with the 7 that were captured the other day by the good old UKSF and CPM.
In fact, put him in a car and send him back.
Yeah.
But, you know, because he'll never make it, will he? He'll just crash all the way. By the time he gets to Switzerland, he'll have crashed at the side of the
I thought you were saying in the sea.
No, well, he might have crashed into the sea. I mean, he's not a very good driver, to be fair. Chloe, over to you.
Liverpool University.
Yes.
And on the face of this, when you first read the headline, you think it might be a good story because you hear that Liverpool University have told students to stop asking people for their pronouns. And you think, great, woke is dead. But oh no, it's because they've become so woke that it's now offensive to ask people for their pronouns because you might accidentally out somebody as trans who isn't confident enough to reveal that. So what you must do is
Jeremy, this is unbelievable.
And they've also said you shouldn't use the term preferred pronouns because the word preferred suggests that your gender choice is a preference. But actually...
Do they actually do any lectures at this university?
No, they don't. They probably just do gender studies courses and that's it. You must also, in your emails and when you introduce yourself to someone, you must give them your pronouns to create an inclusive, welcoming environment where they might find the courage to tell you their pronouns.
Right.
And if they don't tell you your pronouns, their pronouns, you must use they, them until if and when they reveal
Can I tell you the world I came from? I came from Meathouse, New Jersey.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what?
We are cooked. We are so
No
cooked
wonder the
in
birth
this
rate's falling. I mean, you know, there's no chance of getting anybody into bed at this rate, is there?
Conversations you've got to have to even take somebody out for a drink nowadays.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can't.
We'd have been very unsuccessful.
We would. I don't even know what my pronoun is. If somebody actually asks me, I don't know. I don't have one.
What is your pronoun? What does that mean? What do we have to do?
Well, I don't think I've got one. Have I?
I've got one. I've got 2.
You've only got one.
So what am I? Half he.
Half he.
Half he. That's my pronoun. Half
I don't know. But if you don't believe in it, you don't have one, do you? Do you have a pronoun?
Do you have a pronoun?
No, just...
No. It's just Chloe, right?
Just Chloe.
It's not a pronoun, it's a name. That's what you call each other.
AD, you're a woman.
Amanda, have you got a pronoun?
Mike's favourite.
Oh! Mike's favourite. Someone's angling for a win this week.
Well, listen, it's not a bad way of going about it, to be honest. Jeremy's now speaking.
He's heartbroken now.
Let's have a look at somebody who can explain it. So here's Jimmy Carr explaining what pronoun is.
Brilliant.
There's now 10 pronouns. I'll quickly go through it so we're all on the same page. The 10 pronouns are he, she, they, them, it, gross, what is that?
I'm with Jimmy.
You've got to be with Jimmy Carr on this, haven't you? It's absolute madness. Right, well, listen, we're through to another section. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the US Navy. I don't think I've ever been nominated here before.
Oh, yes. This is a winner.
I hope you've got some friends in that particular department in case they come after you.
No, I have no
We're going to be
friends
talking about a musical where everybody takes their clothes off. This is Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We're now moving very far into the competition. I've got my last one coming up in a minute, but Will Geddes, who have you got for us?
Well, I have the US Navy.
God bless
Sorry,
America.
I've had to take it out of the UK because we've got plenty of candidates here in the UK.
International.
This is international, truly international, and we're talking about a very, very advanced fighter jet, an F-18 Super Hornet, worth about 60 million, which was on a carrier, which apparently, aircraft carrier, and we've all seen them in the movies, we've seen them in the news. You know, these are not small, manoeuvrable
huge,
boats.
aren't they?
Yes, which apparently, to try and evade some Houthi action in the Red Sea, where they supposedly was launching a missile against them, were trying to move one of these F-18s, but the boat moved so quickly, it fell off the side.
Well, I was told it was a hard turn on this boat, right? Now, I've been on a few boats in my time. You can't really turn boats around that quickly that are that size.
There wasn't already about Leo going on there.
Also, if the Houthis are firing missiles at you and you can avoid it by moving a massive boat about 50 feet, the missile can't be that good, can it?
No, exactly. And also that this particular carrier, I know Jez is dying to jump in here. This particular carrier is not new to the conflict zones. It's been down there for quite some time.
Right.
So the moving, of this particular jet so rapidly that it would fall off the side does raise some curious questions. It does. But $60 million
huge warship, right, in the sea can turn so quickly, and boats associated with it could fall off the edge.
Yeah.
Why can't boats in the English Channel turn round as quickly if something approaches? Am I being completely serious?
It's a very good point. Maybe they can turn the microphone fall off the edge. That'd be great. Can we have a look, please, at the story?
And now to the Middle East, where a U.S. Navy F-18 fighter jet has been lost at sea after falling overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier. The incident occurred yesterday when the aircraft was being towed inside the hangar bay. And according to a statement from the Navy, the towing crew lost control of the aircraft during the operation, leading to both the $60 million fighter jet and its tow tractor plunging into the Red Sea.
Blimey.
I know.
I mean, imagine losing a plane. I mean, that is very careless. That.
I mean, I've lost my car keys sometimes.
In the old days, right? Would that not have been a sort of court-martial offence?
I'm thinking about the insurance
or keel hauling.
What did you say?
Grab that particular technician, keel haul him.
What's the insurance on that then? What's the no claims? Well, I mean, you're bugging then, aren't you, really?
Yeah, and I guess it might be said to have not been involved in combat at the time. No. So it's not covered by insurance, perhaps. I don't know. But it's extraordinary, isn't it?
I didn't know a boat could turn around that quickly, but it gives us all hope.
It does. Absolutely right.
Either way, I'm still going to watch Top Gun, and I still have hope in Maverick.
I'm surprised you weren't in that film. You are our Top
Gun.
Especially the volleyball game.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Amanda, over to you.
So,
the full Monty.
I like to bring you the hard-hitting stories. That's my job on the plank, right? So basically, we've got the full Monty. We've all seen the film.
Yeah.
We like it?
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, it was fun.
So there's a musical version, and it's in Portsmouth coming up soon. And there's been a warning added to the website there that there will be partial nudity.
Partial?
Oh.
Isn't the whole point
that
it's not
I was going to
partial?
say.
So that's kind of what the premise of the whole entire film theatre show is about, them stripping off at the end. So it's basically woke gone mad. As usual, we're just censoring everything. We can't let someone decide to go to a show and maybe read up about it, and they've got to be warned. It's like when Wicked, the film, they were warning against, in the film there's going to be discrimination because someone's green in the film. That's the kind of world we're living in, right?
Brilliant.
So we've got the film. So I'm seeing this warning, I'm thinking this is absolutely ridiculous, but mainly because only partial nudity.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the
But that's the whole point of the film at the
I
end.
can't believe it.
At the end,
Sure,
it all
that's
comes
why
off.
Monty is everything.
When he says at the end, does partial nudity mean it's just the end that is sticking out? What are we talking about?
I don't know how you can do the full Monty.
You had to
partial
take it there,
nudity.
Jess.
It's not
I mean, the
called
clue's
the
in the
partial
name.
Monty, is it?
Yeah.
It's not called the
You had to
partial
take
Monty.
it there, didn't you?
Well, I'm thinking, I'm with him.
Yeah.
Full nudity, partial nudity. Well, because you could just see the end sticking out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the film, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
The hat is there. You can leave your hat on. That's the song.
Yeah.
And
Well, the whole
hat
film
goes.
is building up to that.
Leave your hat on and get your helmet out.
There you go.
Kids
Thank you very
allowed
much.
to watch it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Maybe that's because of the age ranges where they're
Will
saying
you go to
this
the
is
show?
what
I
it
know
is.
you like.
I'll be front row.
Front row.
Have you seen, Chloe, you know about this full Monty, or has it passed you by?
I haven't watched it.
Have you not?
Oh, you're missing
Have
out.
you seen Adolescence?
I mean, it sounds.
If not, get out.
Yeah, you should really watch the full Monty. It's a great film. It's one of those great
because of the
British films.
nudity? Is
No,
it
not because of
porno?
the nudity. It's just a very funny.
Is it a porno?
It sounds like it from the description.
No. You see, you've been
People
watching
get
those
naked.
clips. You've been watching
Working
those.
class men who have got nothing left in their lives, they've lost their jobs,
So
get
they get
together and they
naked.
do it for charity and they get their bits up. It's just
Yeah.
at the very end, and it's the
It's
interesting
a
thing
sweet
is
film.
It's
Yeah.
creative.
It's great.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like a Billy Elliot film. It's just quite inspiring.
And a great cast as
but
well.
now you have to be
Yeah.
warned you might see a willy.
But we even have a charity version on ITV. They get a load of celebrities to strip off, and I've been to a couple of their events where they've been
Funny
training
that.
for it. Yeah,
Funny that.
I was again front of the queue, and there I was, and they're all and that's what I think. There could be an opening for somebody to.
Yes.
I got offered it after I came out
perhaps
having
join.
testicular cancer, honestly, years ago. There was no way I'm getting my bit. No. Fantastic charity. But you
What about partial bits? That
you
could
see
be
that
it, right?
desperation.
Ever hopeful, Devlin.
Okay, for you,
Ever
I've been a
hopeful.
partial. I've been a partial.
Maybe do a naked
I'm not
plank
sure I
of the
want to
week.
come to
You
that.
just
Why
say
don't we
for
do
the-
a full Monty plank of the week?
but only from the waist up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd work. wouldn't
Should we do it?
Yeah. Well,
charity.
Oh, yeah. This is security, old beef man over there.
Yeah. Now, listen, we're nearly at the end of the show. It's obviously taking a turn, so we'll have to shut it down immediately before we go to the last
You've
one.
got to have me back.
Coming up, we're going to
Always.
get
We
the
love
full
you here.
Monty on who wins Plank of the Week, plus
Very
my
good.
final nomination, which is all about a political party that might soon not be here anymore. This is Plank of the Week.
Is that the Liberal Democrats?
No, it's Tories.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We are very near the final furlong, and I'm just going to give you one more nomination before we get to the process of elimination. Because everybody was banging on about this incredible local election result, which was incredible. They called it the earthquake of the Reform Party, the Reform earthquake. I call it sort of Reform tsunami. It's absolutely extraordinary, but people have forgotten that it wasn't just Reform that had a massively great night by winning the Runcorn by-election, by getting 677 councillors, and by getting 2 mayors as well, including the one in Lincolnshire with Andrea Jenkyns. But the Labour Party lost 187 seats, right? The Independents lost 20. The Greens gained 44. But the Conservative Party, right, and this is what nobody's really talking about, lost, I don't know how many, if you know how many they've lost. They lost 674 seats.
Wowza.
Right?
Wow.
So basically the whole Reform vote, by and large, they've taken some from Labour, but they've taken pretty much the entire Tory vote.
Jeez.
And there was a fantastic graphic that was done, which I think I can show you now, which shows you what the 2024 election result was, right, and what it would turn into if it went into the next proper general election. The Conservative Party, 6 seats in Parliament, 420 seats for Reform. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so Kemi Badenoch is already in trouble. You know, she has lost more, I think, than anybody. I mean, look at that. I mean, Labour will be down to 138, but the Conservatives literally dead and buried.
They're so desperate, they're asking Boris
less
to
than
come
half of
back.
what Liberal Democrats have got. That's bananas.
God, if you're getting beaten by Ed Davey,
I know.
wow, that would
It's
be a knock
but
to my
isn't it
confidence.
incredible how it's literally just flipped, and all the way through the lead up to the election day, every Tory that we would get on the show was saying, yeah, no, it's just a protest vote for Reform, you know, we're the real opposition. Well, not anymore, you're not.
No, you're
you
not.
know, and even though
You said
they've
something
now
about
got...
Boris Johnson. You always say, I reckon he will come back to the Tory party. Genuinely.
But he's the reason. I think he's part of the reason we're in this
Yeah.
mess. He wasn't conservative enough.
Yeah, but
Mate,
I mean, this is the problem.
I used to blow his trumpets the whole
He
time.
should
The
not
net
be coming
zero
back.
stuff and all that, I completely agree
Yeah.
with. But he might be their only.
Well,
hope.
he might be, but the problem is that the only people who really want him to come back are the people in the sort of parliamentary party,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
the actual people who vote reform think he let them down.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
anything worth having
No,
back at all.
I'm just
I
saying.
mean, immigration is the
he
thing that
started the
reform
immigration
voters and the
problem.
country in
Yeah.
general are most concerned about at the moment.
What reform need to
what was
concentrate on?
Boris's record on immigration?
Terrible.
Absolute disaster.
Well, do you
What
know-
reform needs
But
to
he-
concentrate on is those 10 councils,
Yeah.
because people will be watching very closely to see how they do
Absolutely
in running
right.
that. as
Well,
an
I'll
example.
tell you what Boris did about immigration. He said when he got elected in 2019, we're going to get net immigration down to 20,000. And it's been close to 1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And so people don't forget that. They don't forgive
you're
it.
right there.
No.
But Kemi Badenoch probably won't last, people are telling me, even into the summer at this point. So they're going to probably
Gone by
replace
Christmas.
her. Certainly, even maybe before that.
I think she will be. I think Kemi Badenoch, Ed Miliband, Richard III. Will be outlasted.
Bridget Phillipson
will be outlasted by Jürgen.
Yeah.
Jürgen will still be there.
Yeah, he's
Jürgen
not going
will still be
anywhere.
there.
He's not going anywhere.
Bridget Phillipson wants to be the next leader, though.
Yeah, but they reckon she's going to get kicked out of the job of education because she's made such a hash of it.
Yeah.
And also Lisa Nandy, who has done literally nothing.
That's going.
Where's she been? I didn't know she
that's
was
how
even
bad
there.
she is. She's so bad. Not only just get rid of her, they get rid of the whole department.
Why do I always think of chicken when they say Lisa Nandy? All I think of is chicken. I don't know
Chicken.
why.
Knows.
You should see when I had her in the tent of shame, as it were, down in College Green.
Sorry, you had a woman
2019.
in a tent of shame?
We had the tent of shame. Lisa
Yes.
Nandy was there.
Yeah.
And we had a fantastic conversation about whether or not we had a deal with the European Union. You must watch it. It's on YouTube.
I'd love to.
It's one of the funniest interviews
I remember
ever.
the tent of shame.
At one
That was
point,
great there.
At one point, she says to me, I think you're just trying to be difficult now. To which the mother of my children said, you should try living with him. You know.
Which one was that?
I can't say.
Okay.
And not in public, anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I just think this is a really existential moment for the Tory party. I think that they could be facing absolute extinction.
Oblivion.
Yeah, it's time to plan the funeral.
Yeah. They haven't got anybody that can take on Nigel Farage.
Do we think that just very quickly, do we think Nigel Farage can be the next Prime Minister of this country?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
I've been saying it for a long time. I don't think there's any doubt. You know.
But I think if they get Boris back, as much as I'm saying that he will make a hash of it, his charisma, I think, will bring them more support. And that that would be a bad thing, because that would then have a split vote on the right between Reform and the Tories. What we're looking, after those local election results, it looks like we've now potentially got a two-party system between Reform and Labour, where a vote for Reform is a vote for Reform. It's not a vote for Labour like it was.
But the other thing
election.
that's quite interesting is you talked about the Tories losing 677 and the Labour losing 170. In that graphic, Labour still had 138 seats. We've got 4 more years of their SHIT to go. That's going to impact on that figure.
I think so.
For Nigel Farage, I'm a massive fan for and voted for. I just hope the criticism of him, he needs to divert, he needs to allow some responsibility. That's a massive thing.
Well, you know what's really interesting is this week I interviewed the first female MP that was elected in Runcorn, Sarah, and she is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, she's an ex-magistrate, she's a professional woman, she knows the law, she knows her onions inside out, and she's going to be a massive, massive strength for them, I think. And,
Fascinating.
it's no longer, the Reservoir Dogs look when they walk around Westminster. They've now got this very, very good-looking and very clever woman who's going to be front and centre on everything. I think it's going to be
really interesting
amazing to watch. Now, we've got to talk about who is going to win. And I'm looking at...
it's so easy, this.
Well, you may say so. You tell me who you think it
Bedwetter,
should be.
obviously.
I don't know if it is. Because we had Meghan last week. She didn't win it last week.
Yeah.
But we had Harry before.
What are your top three?
I think Lucy Powell is definitely in with a shout. This is a woman who has revealed to everyone in the nation exactly what the Labour government
They don't give a
thinks.
damn about kids that have been raped.
What she's saying behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to know.
Well, that's what they all say behind the scenes. Is they
Yes,
say, how
Labour.
can we bury this? How the hell can we get this out of the way
Yeah.
so that nobody ever talks about it again? And just every time anybody mentions it, make them out to be a bigot and see how that's completely backfired. Shall we play the clip again? Let's have another clip of it. Go on.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
No,
this
we
week,
want to blow that little trumpet
No,
now, do we? Yeah.
there was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
Do you know what I'd love to ask her?
Yeah.
Is she a mother?
I believe
These
she is.
people that put... And
I
what would
believe she
happen
is.
if her child was raped?
I know.
Would she be that dismissive of something so appalling
She's
to
so
many
abhorrent,
people?
isn't she?
But you know how these Labour people are. Do you remember when Keir Starmer was asked before the election, would you allow members of your family to have private health care if there was a health problem in the family, and he said no.
Is that because
he said no?
Is that, which members of the family was that? Was that ones that we...
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell
ones
you what,
he doesn't care about.
Yeah, Matt Vickers did a funny thing actually this week as well.
So good.
He got up, and we should have. I don't know if you've got that.
We haven't got a brilliant.
But
yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Where he gets up and says, "I've heard a rumour about the Prime Minister," and they all go, "Ooh," and he goes, "Not that one." Brilliant. Anyway,
See, Matt does it with a smile.
I think I'm going to do it with Lucy Powell. I think I'm going to go with Lucy Powell. I mean, Prince Harry is a massive plank, but he's almost like he's so ghastly and awful that I sort of don't want to even give him that.
I think the thing about Lucy Powell is that should
absolutely
tell people what the Labour Party think about
That's what
kids
they think.
Who have been raped.
That's what they believe.
Fact.
So there you are. Lucy Powell, you are the plank of the week. Well done. Thank you very much indeed to Jeremy. Thanks to Chloe. Thanks to Will. Thanks to Amanda. Great to see you all. We'll be back with more on Plank of the Week, same time next week.